Yep, I do got this profile. But before I start into this profile, fuck Tom Wilson. Fuck the New Jersey Devils. Hey, Devils, how do playoffs look? Oh, right,
Liam,
you're not in the playoffs. All right, now that I got that
Liam,
off my chest.
I gotta cut that out because that technically did not happen yet.
Yeah, whatever.
We have to add this into the freaking podcast of the Bruins where we're previewing the Devils game. They have no idea what Tom Wilson did yet. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. It's Boston Sports Kehd. This is Mike, Liam, and Vinnie here, and we got a big show for you tonight. We're double dipping. We have the Bruins recap for the week. That'll be the first hour. And then we have the Patriots draft recap coming at you in the second hour.
And just as an FYI,
So before we start,
this is the only time we're going to double dip. Okay? So don't worry. Don't worry.
special night. This is a special podcast episode.
We have manners.
So
Nobody likes a double dipper. Or even a triple dipper. Or a quad dipper. Nobody likes that.
before we get started, you'll be able to find all our social media and Twitch information on the screen right now if you're watching this
Look
on
at this
YouTube.
beautiful
If you are
screen.
not, then you already know where to find us. You're already on our Twitch, so glad to have you.
We love
We
you.
will try to stream every Saturday night around this time, 7, 8 o'clock.
As long as a certain somebody can actually
9
get
Eastern
online.
now. But we do our best. But usually Saturday nights, we are here. Somewhere around this time. But we got some Bruins to talk about.
Woohoo!
And boy, do we have some Bruins to talk about today. 'Cause they had a great game. They won 6-2 over Buffalo. Now, I didn't get to watch the game because I was at work all day, but Liam did. And Liam, I'm just gonna let you run with it. You just
All right.
give us your take on the game because you got to take it all in and get the full experience and give us the eye test. What happened?
Well, I mean, I missed the first 10 minutes of the first period. So I missed the first Craig Smith goal, but that's okay because afterwards it
Well, you're
just...
fired.
Well, fuck you too. I got drunk last night. I woke up late. I had shit to do. Fuck off. Anyways,
So Craig Smith, he had the first goal.
Craig Smith, yep, I had the first goal. Literally woke up to my phone just going off, and I'm like, oh crap, right, Bruins game. So switched it right on. But absolutely beautiful game from the Bruins. Just something that we needed. Tight checking. Great defense. Taking away every single Buffalo chance that they even had. So it literally was a 41 shots to 19, which...
43-19.
Oh, 43,
43
okay.
shots.
Okay,
yeah. But the point is, only 19 for Buffalo.
Exactly. Where Buffalo has kind of shown that they do have speed and they can get into our zone and kind of get the puck on the net. But we took that away from them.
I mean,
The first period...
it's not as good as what Tampa did to Detroit today, but it's still good.
Yeah, but it hurts to be a Tampa Bay fan today. Just, they lose against a team that literally, they should have easily
Did you see that, Vinny?
beat.
No,
Tampa Bay, they
I did
they,
not.
they lost 1-0 in a shootout to Detroit.
Oh,
They had 40 shots to Detroit's 15 shots, and they
33.
could not score a goal.
are
They
you
ended up-
serious?
Yep, they had
They ended up
33
losing
shots.
to Detroit in a shootout.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
1-0.
1-0. That was the killer thing. That was the funniest thing probably that happened today. Other than, Pasternak dropping the gloves and trying to go with Darlene, which you never see. So, yeah. But yeah, first period went very well. Swayman kind of had to deal with the breakaway that ended up being a goal, but that's okay. He kept his poise, he kept his control. He still looked great either way. But second period, that's when everything started popping off. We scored. Actually, I think if I actually remember correctly, I don't think we actually scored. I think we scored one goal in the second period. But after that, though, it was all pretty much third period, just coming in and just absolutely making sure we have Buffalo's number, and not only that, get the 2 points that we desperately needed. So now we
Actually, there was 3 goals scored in the first period because Craig Smith got the first one, but then Buffalo scored, made it 1-1, and then Corrali got his goal.
Oh, right. So yeah, 2. Okay, so yeah, it was
first.
2 in the first, and then I think it was 0 definitely in the second. But like after that, that's when.
Nope, 1 in the second. There was 1 in the second.
Oh, 1. Okay. Bergeron. Oh yeah, Bergeron. Yeah, Bergeron. That goal was nice.
And then the third period, the third period there was a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, that was the last 3 goals that they'd scored. Okay, so yeah. So sorry about the stats, guys. I'm not looking at my phone. Anyway.
That's why I'm here.
Yep. Either way, 6-2, great win. 2 points that we needed. We leapfrogged the Islanders real quick, just for that third place. But since the Islanders are winning, since the Islanders are winning about 3-0, it's like it's okay though, because they beat the Rangers, and then the Rangers don't get any points out of it. That's what we need. So
what are we up? 8 points on the Rangers now.
We're up 8 points. We're safe right now. For right now, at least.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're safe to say that we're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we beat the Rangers the 2 times we go up against them. But we also got to beat New Jersey the couple times on Monday and Tuesday. So it's going to be close. But I don't know. We'll just do what we usually do, pray to the gods, and hope that whoever the Rangers are going up against, they get smacked. So that's what we can ask for.
Exactly. Did you get to watch the game today, Vinnie, or is it just
it's just
relying on Liam?
Relying on Liam.
Okay.
Good to know we did our homework, guys.
Woo!
I got cutting on today's game.
Hell, maybe I'll become the host of the show now. I don't know. Maybe I'll be Pat McAfee and hold my own show. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway. So, shout out to Pat McAfee. Probably the best punter ever in the league. So, yeah. But yeah, perfect game. So Corrali got the second goal like just before the period went out. Probably I think about 2 minutes left in the period. Then second period was kind of boring, pretty much, but we were still heavily on the Buffalo Sabres, just not letting them get in our zone. They got a few shots off, but then halfway through, Patrice Bergeron being in front of the net, perfect timing for the rebound. I just kind of skated right on by the pad of
Yeah, I got to see the highlight of that goal. That was pretty nice. That's just classic Bergeron right there.
Oh yeah, classic Bergeron. So definitely something big. Definitely, we needed that big goal lead. So we're up by 2. We go into the third, and that's it. At that point, you can turn the TV off and be like, "Bruins won. We got this." So we got a goal from Nick Ritchie from pretty much, I believe it was off Krejci's stick if he shot it through. But either way, tip in for Nick Ritchie, gets himself on the board.
Ritchie's goal, so let's see. Ritchie's goal was Grizzly.
Yeah, off Grizzly's stick, yep.
Shot it, yep. And Ritchie tipped it in.
So, yep, right off the point, which was the best thing. The D-men getting the puck to the net, and so far all their shots were getting towards the net. So that was the best thing right there. Then after that, it was pretty much Craig Smith the whole way.
Now I see why you thought it was Krejci, because Krejci actually got all 3 of his assists on all 3 of Craig Smith's goals.
No, exactly. So and I'm pretty sure too, it was just the end of the power play, so it was pretty much, they were still on the ice, like Ritchie, Krejci, and all them. So it was just that's why I got a little confused, but that's okay. It'll happen. We all have happens and whatnot. We'll get stuff mixed up. But then
So I just want to talk about that real quick. So Corrali is now on the third line with Ritchie and Coyle.
Yeah.
And Corrali's actually centering it, right?
Yep.
Is that what you saw today?
Yep. Corrali was the centerman, and Coyle was on the right-hand side with Ritchie on his left. So
how did you think that line did overall? I mean, I know they contributed 2 goals, which is great, but how did you think they did overall? Because I know Cassidy's still trying to figure out that third and fourth line.
That was progress. In my honest opinion, that was progress. It may be we definitely helped out with those 2 goals, but you could be a lot more. Because it was still mainly the second line that was potting in most of the goals. So it's definitely progress, and I feel like Cassidy though now sees a rhythm. So don't be surprised if this line stays the same against New Jersey on Monday. And
I think Corrali's had a quietly strong season, so I would like to see him stay on the third line.
I would too. I mean, I popped him up on the third line in franchise mode, even though it's not real life. But Corrali bumped up to a couple overalls. He was a 78 till he turned into an 80, and then and then all my defensive guys went down. So then he had to go in the blue line. But like 2 games, he played like crap. But then next thing you know, we're winning games, and it was just like, oh, Corrali, are you a secret defenseman now all of a sudden? So it was definitely
So
funny.
another thing you mentioned there, I want to touch on as well is the second line. You said they were getting a lot of goals today. Like they're really starting to gel.
Yeah.
Over the last week.
Oh.
Like you just see the chemistry with Smith, Krejci, and Hall there.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they're just
That-
coming along real well.
This is a chemistry that Krejci hasn't had since Lucic and Horton, in my honest opinion. There might be some stats out there that like may say otherwise, but I really think
Yeah.
this is like
Just
this is-
based on the eye test, yeah, it's been a while since we've seen like them looking this good.
yeah, and
It's
it's
been
like
a
this.
while.
Oh yeah, no,
And they're doing something that Vinny's been calling on. They're getting the 5-on-5 scoring
Yeah,
has
they
really
are.
picked up since that Hall trade.
yep.
So like that was your point that you wanted to see change a lot, Vinny, and they've really
Ever since
improve
they
that.
got Hall, I love it. Couldn't have asked for
Yep.
anything else.
Yep, no, absolutely. Yeah, they were gelling. This line is going to be very dangerous. Like we might end up having like a second perfection line, in my honest opinion. But that's what we need though. Is like we need that second perfection line. We
Definitely.
need the secondary line to like put in points and get goals. It's like, and especially now that we're really getting close to playoff mode, Krejci has been looking like playoff Krejci. Rask is
Yes.
even looking like playoff Rask. And, like everyone else is starting to kind of gel in too. So it's only a matter of time before, playoffs hit and we're going to be hot. And I honestly
we only
believe,
got 6 games left.
yep. But even though we got 6 games left, we still got to wait for the damn Vancouver Canucks to finish
Yeah,
up
no,
their
it's gonna be a
games.
long wait.
So we're not getting playoffs until the 20th. So pretty much until the
Yeah.
20th, we're watching Vancouver play against Toronto, Edmonton, Montreal. It's going to be boring. But we stay
Awesome.
hot.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Don't you love that kind of hockey, bro? That's awesome, dude.
Well, I do kind of love. Well, I more like the Battle of Alberta. I love Calgary and Edmonton when they get together. Whoa. It's like the Bruins versus Montreal line brawls.
I
Freaking
love that too
no
because I
peop-
have Connor McDavid on my fantasy team and he always kills Calgary.
Yep, and he's been killing Winnipeg also. So it's like, yeah.
That too, yeah.
He's looking like he's definitely ready for playoffs, and he's
That could be
looking
it.
like he's done losing, and he's ready to win. So we got to be on the lookout for Edmonton, and hopefully it doesn't end up being a rematch from the 1989 series. Oh, which I don't want to talk
Yep.
about. I was
Now,
even,
another thing that
I wasn't even born at that time frame, but I already could feel the pain from Wayne Gretzky like winning against them. It's like,
just getting back to the game today real quick, just a couple things I wanted to point out that I noted
go for it.
was the power play and the penalty kill, because this is one of the other things that we were talking about a few weeks back when Vinny mentioned the 5-on-5 needs to improve. You and me brought up that the power play needs to improve, and I wanted to see less penalties taken.
Yep.
Now, it's looked, from what I've seen over the week, it looks like the penalties are starting to get less and less, and obviously the penalty kill has been strong throughout, so that's good. Looks like they're starting to improve there, take less penalties.
Yeah, and
We'll see what happens when we play Washington again. I don't know why, for whatever reason, the refs hate us when we play Washington, so maybe that's the difference, but they're looking good this week.
them and Pittsburgh. But yeah.
Them in Pittsburgh, yeah, for whatever reason. But as far as
Because
the power play
they got 2
goes-
golden boys over there. Did the
Yeah.
crappy kid and Alex the Movechkin.
Ovechkin, but he's been out injured too.
Yeah.
But as far as the power play goal goes, last 2 games they've
Yeah.
gotten 2 power play goals
Yeah, no, it's slowly improving.
slowly.
It's just they need to.
Krejci had a hand in both.
Yeah, Krejci, like I said, he's looking like he's ready for playoffs. He's getting in the playoff mode, so it's like, yeah, big time to see him like start really getting into it. But yeah, it's like
Would definitely like to see the power play consistently keep going, because it's funny because like the 5-on-5 improved greatly, and then like while we're in that power play drought, it was almost like you would just rather not go on the power play because it was almost like it was killing the momentum for us. Like, like the 5-on-5 was just going great, and then we go on the power play, and for whatever reason,
Yeah, then
it was
then they
like
don't
it shouldn't
score
have been a
anything.
negative, but it was.
Yeah, which,
Yeah, or we gave up a shorthander like we did today.
yeah, and plus that was just like a lucky bounce of the shorthanded one. I'm not gonna lie, but like at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like you kind of do want to see Swayman get that, you know. So
That's true. It was a breakaway. He's been good against breakaways.
yeah, but
so.
I mean, you're always going to be perfect all the time. So I mean, it was eventually one of these times that it was going to go in.
If he's
But,
not perfect when you're playing Buffalo and you're up 5-1 or whatever it was at the time, I'll take it.
No, exactly, yeah. But it's just power play. It's like they look good. They get in their spots. They're passing the puck around. There's puck movement, but then as there's puck movement, then there starts getting to become a little bit more puck movement, a little bit more that doesn't need to be like. Definitely, there have been way too many forced passes when they should have just thrown it on the net.
I noticed over the last two games they were a little sloppy defensively.
To be absolutely honest, it's been like this whole after they got into their slump in the power play, it's been that way the whole time. It's just way too many passes, just way too many not getting the puck on the net. And it's like when you got Richie on that doorstep of the goalie, that big body, covering his whole view. It's like you want to get the puck to the net on that point because you can either get Richie a goal, or you can at least get a shot or
squeak it in or something.
Squeak it in, or at least
hey, it's never a bad thing when you get the puck to the net.
Yeah.
So.
Or at least get the offensive zone face off. Just kind of keep the clock. Stop, so that way you still have more time. But,
and you keep the puck in their end.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, these 2 goals are going to lead to more during the next few games. But, I'm not going to hold my breath for it, sadly. It's even though I would love to see it.
At least we can rely on the 5-on-5, but we definitely would love to see the power play.
Yeah, we can rely more on the shorthandedness than the 5-on-5, in my honest opinion.
I know, right?
It's like once you get
Bergeron on the team.
Yeah, once you get Bergeron and Martial on the ice, you're most likely gonna see half of that penalty killed off, or at least a shorthanded goal from either Bergie or Martial.
Exactly. It's just crazy how good they are at that. That all season, I'm not sure what the numbers are now, but I know at one point they were tied with I think it was the Islanders that they both had 8. But as far as this game goes, do you have anything to add, Vinny? I know you didn't get to see much of it, but did you see it? Did you? Have anything to add about the game today?
Yeah. From everything that from what I'm taking on Liam, is that pretty much everything that we wanted to come from this team since the deadline has really been happening. 5-on-5, power plays, less penalty. Well, not really less penalties, but I mean overall the 5-on-5, huge. Keep that shit up. That's what we need. The power plays, keep that shit up. That's what we need. And please, for God's sakes, stop making stupid penalties. That's all I have.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they have been a little better this week, but who knows? Maybe it's because we were playing Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 3 against the Penguins on Tuesday. We'll get into that. And for whatever reason, whenever we play Washington, it's like we get above 5 all the time. It's like they get 7 penalty power play opportunities, and there's always 2 or 3 freaking double minors or whatever. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, because in my honest opinion, it's because Washington is definitely half of that team is literally a Brad Marchand. They get under your skin, and then they make you take those bad penalties. So it's like
it's true.
When they're kind of chirping at you, and then you throw a punch or just a little push or whatever, that's going to be instant penalty, and no matter what.
And then they throw in their cheap shots and get away with it, which is annoying.
Exactly.
Too.
It's the same with Pittsburgh. It's because they've got 2 golden boys on each of those teams. Crosby, we all know, if you breathe on him, he's going to go down, and he's literally going to be like, oh, he high-sticked me. Get him in the box. It's like, stop whining like a bitch.
He definitely flops a little bit more.
And, grow.
I definitely see that with Pittsburgh. Like you said, Washington, they have their golden boy, but on top of that, they're also a bunch of, instigating bitches, so it's it's even worse.
Talented team. Very talented. The whole team is talented. And even their goaltenders have been stepping up, especially after getting rid of Holtby. Holtby signing with Vancouver and the free agency. But it's Wilson, Hathaway, a few others. They sometimes Brendan Dillon is one of those defensemen that, but he's doing his job in a sense, standing up and being a protector. But like when you got someone like Wilson and Hathaway who just love to hit, but love to add in that little cheap shot at the end, and that's when it kind of gets a little out of control. That's when all the penalties start happening, is because then, we got to retaliate. We got to stand up for ourselves at that point. Especially when...
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially when they make those freaking cheap shot hits. You have to. It's just the way it is. Hopefully we can just come out on the winning end on those games like we have been. At least with Washington, the offensive firepower has been there to withstand the penalties that we've taken.
Yes.
But moving on, let's go back to Thursday's game against Buffalo. Quickly just go over that. The Bruins won 5-2 in that game. And that was the game that Charlie Coyle broke his scoreless streak. His first goal in, 28 games or something like that?
28, 29, around there, yep. Which, yeah.
Longest streak of his career, yeah. Longest drought of his career.
Yeah, you don't like to see that, and especially, a very talented kid like that. He's technically a power forward, but he plays like he's a sniper. And, and it's great to see that. He's got great speed. He loves getting pushed up against the boards because then he knows how to easily squeeze out of that little situation and keep the puck, get it on that. He's got the same poise and great hands as Pastrnak and Krejci. So it definitely is nice to see him get up on the scoreboard. But I saw an interview.
I know he had an assist today, and then he had that goal the other day. So hopefully we can start seeing more consistency from him with, getting points.
I believe we are. I believe that.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I believe we're going to definitely. Because, we're getting close to playoffs, and we know how very well he played in the playoffs with us when we first got him, and even the year after. Yeah. So it's he shows up in the playoffs. If we can
get playoff Coyle, just like we get playoff Krejci, that'd be great.
Yep, and that's right. Why I think that this goal and assist, that's going to be the start of it. He's going to start feeling confident. He's going to start feeling good now. And then now that he's on the right wing, he doesn't have to worry about center. So he lets Corrali do that. If he has to go in for the, if the ref tosses out Corrali, easy pickings. Boom. Throw in Corrali, boom.
I mean, that's great. That's great to have two centers on that line. And like you said, if he's, gets the pressure off of him where he's playing more winger, that could, boost his offensive game.
Yeah, I think it definitely will. And, Coyle is definitely somebody to look out for. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait, because it's he's going to probably start turning the Jets on and just, start scoring goals, left and right. Maybe he can get that third line. And I think that
third line could be solidified with him, Richie, and Corrali. I mean, that just made what they... I mean, like you said, the second line, we've seen them gel perfectly. So, and they're right now, I would say the second line is peak of their gelling right now. They're right in their prime of it. It looks like they're the patience from not only Krejci on his assist to Hall in this game on Thursday, but then tonight the patience by Hall to pass it over to Krejci to get it to Smith to get the goal.
The first one, yeah,
they're just it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
it's like I said, they're all in sync.
Second perfection line right there. It's you got Taylor Hall, that's your David Pastrnak. You got your David Krejci, who's practically the Brad Marchand, and then Smith, he's just looking like Bergeron too.
Exactly.
So, I mean, but either way, you can compare him to either one. So it's great.
Exactly, and if we can start seeing some, I know it's not going to be on the same level, but if we can start seeing some consistency between Corrali, Coyle, and Richie, that would definitely help us if that third line can just at least get some good chemistry going and provide that, that third line scoring and just...
Yeah, and then fourth line, I feel definitely need to get their stuff going, but I feel here's what I think they I want to do. I definitely want to keep the Brust down there, but I want to definitely see Lazar and Chris Wagner, because...
Wagner.
Yeah, as much as I liked Kuhlman...
It was Kuhlman tonight, right?
It was Kuhlman, yeah, and earlier today. But I like Kuhlman. He's got speed. He loves to take that puck right to the net. He's not afraid to do that, which sometimes we do need somebody like that. But I'd rather see Wagner because Wagner's a big body. He loves to throw his weight around, and so does Lazar. So it's two of the same guys. And if you could get a DeBrusque, he can definitely, pot it in the goals. And that's the guy that I would like to see next start, like, kind of stepping up big time, is DeBrusque. He's been having a very cold year, and I don't think, even after we signed him, I'm sure even at this point, he's getting frustrated. He's mad at himself. But, he
went from the second line down to the fourth, basically.
No, exactly. And it's like he knows that he's got to step up. And it's just been tough for him. So, and since now everybody else is stepping up, there's a possibility that, even though we signed him for 3 years, we might end up trading him next year. But,
next year, it might be the off season.
Well, I mean, we'll see. It's like either it'll happen off season.
Technically, that will be next league
or
year,
trade deadline.
But he was a candidate to go this year. They were talking about him and ended up being Bjork.
Yeah, well, and definitely, like I said it before in the last, podcast, I'm more happy to see Bjork go than DeBrusque, because Bjork has been
Bjork was
thrown
capped on what he showed.
Yeah, he literally has been thrown up on the freaking main roster multiple times after, looking great in Providence. But then for the past 2 to 3 years, he's been, thrown up on the main roster, but, showed little amount of any reason to keep him on the main roster. So hopefully,
I think though, if we can solidify that third line with Corrali, Coyle, and Ritchie, I think that gives Cassidy some options for that fourth line. Because like you said, today it was DeBrusque, Lazar, and Kuhlman. But we also have Wagner that can go in on there, and we also have Frederick. So it's like, you just kind of find whichever combination fits best. And I think once you get the first 3 lines solidified, it makes it easier to figure out that combination for that fourth line. Yeah, because right now he's been trying to figure out both lines, and he's been moving guys up and down, back and forth. So,
whether it's practice or in mid-game. So it's like,
and making that change with Corrali and Coyle, putting Corrali at center and Coyle on the wing with Ritchie up there, they looked good tonight. If they keep that going, and if they look good against, they got New Jersey on Monday next. So if they keep that going, that's definitely gonna be good for us. And then just let them figure out the fourth line based on they have the depth now. The trade deadline, they got the depth from the trade deadline. Like that was a huge trades that they made. So like they got the depth now. Now it's just all up to Cassie figuring it out. So I'm confident he will, and I'm glad that
I am too.
Sweeney got him the guys.
No, exactly, and like big time steal for Sweeney. Like you could go on the video game as much as you want and try that. It's not gonna work.
I know, right?
Like, to think about it, it's like Hall has that very high trade potential, while Lazar is just like an easy pickings to definitely like you could definitely trade Bjork for Lazar, but no one expected.
I still can't believe we got Hall for that trade.
Yeah, but it just goes to show
good he's been.
And this goes to show that how much Buffalo really dropped the ball with him. And technically, even though Taylor Hall is like a star or whatnot, he still felt like that he had to be like the best person on the team. Even though they had
exactly, even with the young players on that team, he felt like he had to be the star, and he didn't want that.
Exactly.
I definitely think it's a lot better for him where he can just come in and be another guy and just play, and it takes the pressure off.
Yeah,
and
it has.
He is a great player, so that great play comes through when there's no pressure on.
Yeah, because Cassidy's just like, dude, don't worry about having to be like the star goalie or goal scorer and whatnot. Don't worry about that. Just go out there, have fun, play the game. We got Bergeron, we got Kyle, we got Marchand, we got Krejci, we got Smith, we got all these other guys.
That's all he wanted to do, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's really all he wanted.
And that's why he wanted to be on a winning team too. And it's just like Buffalo was starting to look like maybe it could be.
It's the perfect fit.
Yeah, and it was like when he signed with Buffalo, I think too. Like Buffalo had the money to give him, but like also, it's just Buffalo had way too many. They have way too many first rounders on that team. Half the team is first round picks. from offense
and
to
they're
defense.
underperforming.
Yeah.
And they're underperforming.
And it's like, and the worst
Crazy.
part too is they have a guy in Jeff Skinner with a $9.000 million contract, but is literally with 7 years left on the contract, mind you, and he has not even shown up to play. So it's like,
Yeah.
I would
Crazy.
rather, like, I definitely would have rather give the $8 million to Taylor Hall over Jeff Skinner. But if this was, 10 years ago, well, actually, I'd probably say like 8 years ago, when Jeff Skinner was looking real good. But, like, the only reason why he looked good was because he was actually on a decent team.
It really is funny how like Taylor Hall is like night and day. Like everyone was a little worried, like, oh, well, he struggled in Buffalo. Is he going to struggle here? I mean, he had 2 goals when we traded for him on the whole season, and then since then, in literally less than 3 weeks, he's got 5 goals and 4 assists.
Yeah. Because
and not only that, he's been showing up defensively too. Like he's been all over the place.
yeah, he's shown that he's a 200 yard ice man. Like he's got the speed to literally get back into the back check, and not only that, he's really good with his stick. So he knows how to stick check, and steal the puck from you. So I'm happy. I am more
I think
happy.
we're all happy with that.
Yeah,
Tyler.
we
I'm
are.
more
If
happy.
you're not happy,
There's
you're not
something
a
wrong.
Bruins fan.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
you're
what it
probably
is.
just one of those douches that are trying to run Rask, Krejci, and everyone else out of the building and Cassidy too, and Sweeney.
Exactly.
Like, guess what, guys? Sweeney and Cassidy did
I
the
know
right
you
thing.
brought up. I know you brought up trading Krejci before the deadline, Vinny, but I'm pretty sure that you're happy now that they didn't, because the way things have worked out with him and Hall and Smith on that second line.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy right now.
Yep. I mean,
Ugh.
me and Mike definitely were not on that boat, but like me, I was thinking salary cap, so that way, because Krejci has like a 7-point contract, but he only has 1 year left. So it could have
Like,
happened.
I can see why. Yeah,
it could
I
have
can see
happened.
why he would have been a candidate for it. But I mean, I thought if you did that, you're giving up on this year, and I wasn't ready to give up on this year.
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm
No.
like, even though we lost Krug and Chara, we were still looking like a good team, like no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like we're just kind of showing though too, like we don't really need Krug, we don't really need Chara, and especially with Chara getting older, he's not exactly the type of guy that would do the game plan that Cassidy has, and that's with defensemen pitching in and
I understood Chara going just because he's definitely long in the tooth. He's getting up there. He's pretty much he's getting to the end of his career. What's it called? Krug, though, I was kind of hoping they got him back because he is an offensive defenseman that we kind of like were lacking a lot throughout the year. But I mean, I know he's had a bad season in Buffalo, but I mean the guys
St.
they've
Louis.
gotten to come in. I mean, yeah, Buffalo, St. Louis, but like the guys that they've gotten. Talk about Buffalo because we play them all week.
yeah, no kidding.
So
When
much
you
in the
play
last
them,
2 weeks.
Yeah, 5 times in like past 2 weeks. It's like,
Right.
ugh.
But like the guys we've gotten come in and replace them. Really, it's kind of been a rotating door. But I mean, Grzelcyk has been good. Riley, who they traded for, has been good. So it's like they've all kind of like chipped in here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
Full
that's what we
team
needed.
effort, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then as far as like true defensively, like replacing Chara and everything, I mean they've had their injuries. I know we're supposed to be getting Carlo back. We might get him back Monday, I think they said. But
Yeah, I saw Monday
like
myself.
Zaboril's been good, and
Yeah, Zaboral, Lazon, and a few other guys have been. They stepped up. They stepped up.
Lazon showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
When we've had Tenorti at some games showing up and definitely dropping the gloves because he's that type of guy.
yeah, and
I
he's
mean Kevin Miller. Yeah, when he's been healthy. He's been great.
yep, another guy.
Very
It's
true.
like-
It's been a team effort on D, but
yeah, it's just the injuries really hurt the team big time.
it
So,
really has.
but it's good though to see that even though injuries are kind of hurting the team, they're dealing with it. They're coming back. They're killing.
And they are getting healthy at least.
yeah, and they're getting
like
healthier.
I said, Carlo's the last guy that needs to come back
yeah,
before we're basically fully healthy, right?
yeah, and I can't wait though when he comes back because I already see Riley and Carlo being in the lineup, and that's going to be great. That's going to be a very solid second defenseman line with Grizzly and McAvoy on
Yeah.
the first, and then, Lazon.
When fully healthy, that defense is going to look really good.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, can't wait. Carlo, we love you. We need you back because you're a big body and a big stick that, like, he's like Chara.
And it's funny because, like, we speak of, like everyone was thinking, okay, Grizzly's going to be the power play one defenseman. He's going to be your offensive defenseman, basically. And he had, he's been in and out, but he has shown his offensiveness, which is good. But Riley came in right off the trade deadline, and it's like he's a different kind of offensive defenseman because he shoots a lot, he gets the puck to the net, and he has a ton of assists.
Yeah,
and not even just like shooting from the point. Like there's been a few times where he's taken the puck down to the net, like like behind the net or the side of the net, and he's made that perfect pass to the guy right in front of the net.
Yep,
that's it happened today with Smith. Yeah, and then there was one with he got Pasta.
Yep, one with Smith, one with Pasta. Like they were just he's deadline
really
guys.
Good at that. He's really good at that. Almost like he's almost like the Krejci of the defense. Like how Krejci is just so great at finding the open guy to score the goal. Like he's been really showing that he can. He's like an assist machine, and definitely underrated, but definitely needed that. But let's get into the last game that we had this week to talk about, and that's the Penguins. That was on Tuesday. And actually, before we get into that, we'll briefly talk about both the Penguins games because we didn't talk about the Penguins game last week because it was before the show. I mean, after the show had already aired because we had our show Saturday. Penguins game was Sunday. They ended up losing 1-0 in that game, and that was a pretty close game. It was just literally one mistake that cost them the game there. Yeah. But they responded well on Tuesday. They won 3-1, but it did seem like it was another game where it was just like I think the Penguins are like if the Bruins are the hottest team in the East, the Penguins are right up there with them.
Very close second.
Yeah,
and they've taken over at first place now.
Yeah,
I mean, they're tied for first, and they're up there.
Yeah, and this was a team that was having a lot of GM issues, not much with the coaching, but player issues also. Individual players is like
for a while there they weren't
great.
They weren't in the playoffs. I mean, for a while there they were behind the Flyers until the Flyers collapsed.
Yeah, the Flyers collapsed hard, and even during the trade deadline, they just said they got rid of a couple players, and there's a couple players too that've been playing hot.
Flyers took a fucking nosedive.
Yeah,
that was crazy. I had that wrong because I thought Pittsburgh was gonna be the one that was gonna take the nosedive, and that my prediction was looking good in the beginning of the season with everything that was going on with them. I thought it was gonna be the three teams with the Islanders, the Bruins, the Caps, and I thought it was gonna be the Flyers, but it turns out it's Pittsburgh. And
I think we all did. No, I think we all did.
Yeah,
like
we actually kind of thought it was gonna be those teams.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I thought
we all kind of right on the Rangers. We thought the Rangers were going to be right up there, but wouldn't make it in, which they have been. If they've,
if the wild card was still up, they definitely probably would make it in.
Yeah, and they're definitely like a wild card type of team.
Yeah, but yeah, and since it's all 1 through 4 for each side, it's like no chance.
Like I said, that game against Pittsburgh, it's not really a lot to talk about. I mean,
it was a tight
it was
check
a great
game.
Bounce back. They won 3-1.
Yeah,
but it was pretty much just a tight game, back and forth, and it was just like whatever team made a little mistake is how they got the goals up. And luckily, the Bruins were able to score up 3 and get that little revenge game on them, and that was a big win to start the week because they had lost 2 in a row. They had lost that game to Buffalo and then lost to Pittsburgh again on Sunday. So we were like, crap, let's not go into a losing streak after a winning streak.
No, exactly.
But that was a great way to come back and win.
We want to see.
Exactly. I mean, Pittsburgh's they could be our round 1 matchup right now if things hold off the way they are right now. But who knows? Because I mean, this division is just all up in the air. Like,
this division has gotten tighter now. It's like we're right.
It's all less than
five.
Everyone's separated by about like 5 points or less from 1 to 4.
Yeah. And it's like we're right.
The only gap now is the Bruins have been able to get a gap over the Rangers.
Yeah, but I think though too that's probably what's fueling them right now. Is literally they know the Rangers are right behind them, and they know they're in 4th. So they're like,
yeah,
we don't start winning, then we're gonna miss the playoffs. Even though having a great record and having a great start of the season to like have a mediocre middle of the season, eventually start getting stuff going, trade for Hall, and then get real hot. So yeah, I feel like that would definitely
It
be
really
a big
has been like that.
barn
Yeah.
burner. So that would
So I mean, we only got a few games left, so
yeah. So
keep it up.
absolutely.
I mean, who knows where we'll end up in this division. So, like, we'll just quickly go over that, while we're talking about it. We'll go over the division right now. So, as it stands at this moment, I'm just going to check the scores real quick. But the Penguins and Capitals were tied for first with 69 points. And the Bruins actually moved into third after the win today because they got 66 points while the Islanders have 65. But the Islanders, who had the game play later on, and they were winning last I checked, 3-0.
I think
the
it's
scores
still
now.
3-0 right now. Yep.
Is it?
It ended.
No, they
3-0.
won. Actually, yeah, they won. So the Islanders, they jump back ahead of us. They're back in third, but they're only up by a point.
Yep.
They have 67 points to our 66. So it's like,
Yep.
and we still play the Islanders. We still play them. So like that game could come down to whoever gets third and fourth in division.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe even third and second, depending on how the Capitals go. Because the Capitals, they lost to the Penguins today. So
They lost
Penguins,
3-0. I think.
Yeah, the Penguins have taken full control of first place. That puts them with, I think, 71 points.
71.
Let
Yep.
me just get the.
Yep.
Yeah, so they have 71. The Capitals have 69. The Islanders have 67. And the Bruins have 66.
And it actually,
But
it looks like the Islanders actually punched their ticket to the playoffs with that win.
They did. They
So-
did secure the tip to the playoffs because they have so many points above the Rangers, where the Rangers cannot possibly catch up to them. But I think if the Bruins get 2 points against the Devils on Monday, I think the Bruins will clinch their place in the playoffs as well, because we're currently up 8 points on the Rangers.
Yeah. So if we can go 10 points, that would be pretty good. That would be great. So yeah.
And we still have 2 games to play over the Rangers. The Rangers have played 2 games more than us, so I'm pretty sure the next win, the Bruins will be able to clinch the division. I mean, it's just, the only way the Bruins will not make the playoffs at this point is they would literally have to lose all their remaining games.
Yeah, and
I don't see
literally
them doing
the Rangers
that.
win all of them. So
And the Rangers win pretty much all of them, yeah. So I'm not too worried about that. Now it's just basically figuring out where we fall in the standings of the top 4.
no,
And it's close, like I said. It's all within 5 points. The Penguins have 71, Bruins have 66. So that's the biggest gap right there, 1 to 4.
That's the thing though. When it comes Monday, Rangers are up against the Capitals, and they got to beat the Capitals. They want to keep in close distance. But after tonight, since they lost 3-0, I think the Capitals are going to come out swinging and just obliterate the Rangers. They're not going to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, the Capitals got the Rangers. The Islanders got the Sabres, so the Islanders are probably going to take that. I mean, you never know, but I'm assuming so. Pittsburgh's got the Flyers. That's another one. Pittsburgh will probably be fine. And the Bruins have the Devils. Going into the next week, I'm looking at the schedule. We get the Devils back-to-back, Monday and Tuesday. Then we get the Rangers on Thursday and Saturday. So, that once we play them, that should, if we haven't already clinched, that should settle it right there. And then we wrap up the season with the Islanders and the Capitals next Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
A week from this Monday and Tuesday. So, this 6 more games left. It's going to be interesting how everything plays out.
It's going to be tight.
The Capitals have, it's going to be tight. So the thing is,
it will be.
while they are a point above us, we have 1 more game to play more than the Capitals.
So
not the Capitals, than the Islanders.
The Islanders, yeah. So we can take their place if we win the collection of games.
Yes.
So yeah. And
I mean, pretty much. I mean, I'm looking at the Islanders schedule. They play the Sabres and the Devils next week. So if we're playing the Rangers in New Jersey, they're playing the Sabres and the Devils. We're all playing the teams that are basically at the bottom of our division. So if both teams, both the Bruins and the Islanders, come out of those 4 games with W's, it's literally going to come down to the Bruins game against the Islanders. And the good thing for the Bruins is they just need to get points.
yeah.
So if we beat, so say like this scenario plays out where we get 8 points this coming week out of the 4 games between the Rangers and the Devils, and say the Islanders do the same thing. They get 8 points out of the games against the Devils and the Sabres. That'll still leave us within a point of them. Even if we were to lose to the Islanders, as long as we get a point, if we get a point in the overtime against them,
We would be tied.
we'll be tied. And if we get a point against the Capitals, whether it's a win or an overtime loss, we'll jump ahead of the Islanders. So having that extra game is a little bit of a benefit for us in that way. If we beat the Islanders, then we pretty much that right there is it.
Yep.
So we have the advantage on it, I think. So I think the Bruins could end up in third, which if the Penguins run away with first place, who would you rather play, the Penguins or the Capitals?
Penguins.
That's probably who it's going to be. You would say the Penguins?
I'd actually say
Rather
the
than
Capitals.
Penguins. Our history
it's
against
tough.
the Capitals, I'd rather the Penguins.
It's tough because the Penguins look like the hotter team.
Yeah.
Capitals a little bit more banged up, but like you said to Vinny's point, like the Capitals are that team that just seem to get under our skin, and like who knows, something could go wrong in that series with them, and Ovechkin could just. I mean,
Yeah,
they both have golden boys, so
Yeah, I mean, it could go
Always.
either way with either team, really. So it's like, but I just feel like if we went up against the Capitals, I just feel like Bruins definitely will use use each game as a learning experience, and they have been. That's why we've came clutch against the Penguins or even Washington. They win one game, but then we face them the next time we win. We learn from our mistakes, but still we'll learn from our mistakes, but we'll still make some at the same time. Because it's you're never going to be perfect, but as long as you're close to perfect, you're not going to lose the game. You're going to at least do some damage.
I mean, at least what I will say is the Bruins are talented enough at this point, definitely, to compete with all 3 of the top teams. I mean, we've beaten them all this season at some point. The Islanders, we have our worst record against the Islanders, but the last 2 times we played the Islanders, we destroyed them. We handled them easily.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I will say, even though they did win tonight, the Islanders have struggled scoring lately. Their trade for Palmieri and Zajac didn't work out as well for them as the Hall trade and the other trades has worked out for us.
Oh.
So, because I know they're having issues with scoring down there in New York. So
And it's weird too, because it's those 2 guys would absolutely light us up again, but Zajac and Palmieri, they would light us up.
Yeah.
But now,
Exactly. They're
last
struggling
2
with the
games.
Islanders, which is funny.
Yeah. And that's a talented team. It's how do you?
It is.
How do you?
And the
mess
other
that
thing
up?
is Matt Barzal's been struggling scoring too, and I think a lot of people were saying that his issue is that he doesn't have Anders Lee because of the injury, and he's been at his best when he's had Anders Lee with him, and that's kind of why they got Palmieri hoping that would fix it, but it hasn't.
No.
So
he's gonna continue to struggle. And
yeah, they were a strong team, but they've kind of been, I think, probably the coldest team out of the top 4 lately. While the Bruins and the Penguins have definitely been the 2 hottest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
And then Washington is just in the middle, going average.
Washington's just been kind of been up there. Like they jumped up to the top of the standings about early to mid-season, and then they just been kind of winning enough to stay up there, but they haven't really gone on huge streaks. They have had a lot of injuries. I know that they've had back and forth.
Yeah, mainly day-to-days, but nothing too big. Chara was day-to-day. I guess Ovechkin was kind of a day-to-day type of thing too. A few other guys, but but once they're healthy, it's a scary team.
So like I was saying, they're the 2 hottest teams. The Bruins have won since the trade deadline. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 out of their last 11 games, and the 2 losses that we were just talking about, the Sabres and the Penguins. So since the trade deadline, they've been 9-11. And if we go to
9-2, I would say.
I mean, yeah, they've been 9 out of 11. They're 9-2, which has been really good. If we go to the Penguins real quick, just to see how hot they've been since the trade deadline, they're at 6-3. and they're about to be 7-3 once they beat the Capitals today.
Okay, so we've kind of had
So
a better
it's been-
record, but like at the same time, they're still both hot.
We have
teams.
played more games than them,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been close. I mean, we've both been pretty hot, 1-1 head to head since the trade deadline. So
Yeah, no, that's what we needed, and definitely the big resurgence that we need still going into the playoffs. So
Yeah.
definitely need it.
definitely, we have about a little bit less than 10 minutes left. If you just want to get anything left you want to talk about Bruins wise, and then we'll take a quick short break before we get things rolling on the Patriots in the draft. So, how do you see things playing out the rest of the way?
Well, I definitely probably gonna see. Well, let's see. We've got how many games left? Technically 6, right?
We have 6
Yes.
games left. Yes, 2
I-
against the Rangers, 2 against the
I would hope to see at
Devils,
least a
and then-
4-0-2 record. Win 4 games, but like if we go into overtime, we'll get at least a point out of them. But I want a perfect 6. But I've
obviously.
said, like there's never everything gonna be everything's not gonna be perfect. So I say at least, I'll say 5-0-1 record. If we get like one of them into the overtime, then we'll be fine. But if not, then
Yeah.
I
So,
at least want
so
5
real
wins.
quick before we get into that, I just want to bring this up. The Capitals, since the trade deadline, have been 3-5.
Oof.
I'm not the Capitals, the Islanders. Sorry, the Islanders.
Oh, okay.
They're 3-5.
in the
Is
last.
they
They're
haven't
3-5 since
The
the.
Bruins.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
winning
but it's
tonight, so
true.
That'll put them at 4-5, but they've definitely been, like I said, they've definitely been the coldest team in this division. But like I said, going into this coming week, obviously perfect 6 games, which would be 12 points, would be ideal. I think main thing is one game at a time, one series at a time. Definitely, we have to beat the Rangers and the Devils.
Yeah, I would say we
Doesn't
definitely
matter-
beat Devils
Yeah.
twice, and
I
then maybe
I wanna see-
overtime against the Rangers, but at least one win.
Even if it's overtime, that's fine. Honestly, I want to see this win all 4 of those games. Get 2 points out of all 4 of those games, no matter how you do it. Even if you go to overtime in all 4, I don't care.
Yep.
I just want to see get 2 points out of all those games because I think that we're gonna have to keep up with the Islanders, who are playing the Sabres and the Devils. Now, who knows? Maybe they drop a game to them, but either way, we got to keep pace with those 4 games. And then once we get to the Islanders and the Capitals for our last 2, all we got to do is get points. No matter how it ends, just get 2 points out of those 2 games, at least, and we're golden.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I don't have anything really other than that to add in. Vinny, how about you? You got anything you wanted to say?
No, not really. We've really covered it for this week. They've shown a lot.
Yep.
And
Alright,
a lot
yeah.
since the trade deadline.
They've been great since the trade deadline. Definitely what we wanted to see. I'm confident going into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting this year with the setup and everything and how it's going to all work out. But I like our chances definitely to get out of our division. I think we have really good chances to win this division. I could see. I think it's going to end up being. If everything plays out the way I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be the Penguins and the Bruins in the second round of the playoffs, which would be like the division finals, I guess, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
At that point,
like,
I
not
think
exactly.
yeah. Like I think it's going to play out the Penguins. I think it's going to play out as Penguins, Capitals, Bruins, and Islanders in that order. I think that's just my guess, and that how I think the way things have been looking.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think
We'll see how things
I think
go.
all 3 of us too. Like back in the beginning of the year, I think we all thought Flyers were definitely going to be up there, but they took the nosedive, so they're out completely. So
Yeah. But all right, so I think we'll wrap that up for our Bruins talk, but do not go anywhere, guys, because we will be back in about 5 minutes. We're just going to take a quick 5-minute break. Head to the bathroom, do what you need to do, and then we will be back here, and we will get into our Patriots draft recap. It was an interesting draft weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Good things, maybe some bad things. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get you our opinions on that. But yeah, we will be back in 5. So don't go away. All right, we are back for the NFL draft portion of this podcast to review what the Patriots did over the draft weekends. And looking back on it, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty pleased with the picks.
Yep.
I think we all have our opinions on it, but overall, I think they had a good draft. So let's kick things off with the first round. And everyone knows, with the 15th overall pick, they chose quarterback Mac Jones out of Alabama. And Liam, you have that profile for us.
All right, so Mackie Jones, Big Mac Jones. So pretty much, man is out of Alabama, had a nice 17-1 season with Alabama, and then he was graciously picked by the big old New England Patriots, which I am so happy about. Well, at least I am. Someone else in this party ain't. You know who you are. Anyways.
So what can we expect from Mac Jones?
So, in the strengths department, he is pretty much a big build in pads. So, you know, I think he's about 6'4", 6'5". He's a tall kid. And, like, and he's pretty much stacked up in strength. But I feel like over the offseason, he'll probably definitely bulk up a little bit more. So, going to be a dangerous quarterback once he bulks up and looks better. But other than that, though, the overall mechanics from his footwork to hip rotation to deliver were very good, and usually delivered throws in a compact, effortless motion. So nothing too forced, and has a good form. So it's always good to see. Always a good thing to see from that. So then I'll switch right to a concern, but it's definitely something that can be also fixed during the offseason. So he's a sizable quarterback, but when it goes down rather easy, barely keeps plays alive. So, I mean, even though it is a concern, I feel like I'd rather want him to actually go down or at least get the ball off, which is actually another strength of his. That if he needs to, he'll take the sack or he'll throw the ball out of bounds. So pretty much he's a smart kid.
He definitely fits more of the Tom Brady mold, where he sits in the pocket, doesn't really get out of the pocket, not as mobile as some of the other guys that even Cam Newton is, or Justin Fields or Trey Lance was coming out of the draft, or even Trevor Lawrence. He has some mobility. He's more going back to
what brought him
Brady
success for 20 years.
Pretty much, yes,
so
exactly.
We're kind of going back to that style of offense, it looks like.
Yeah, and it's that's kind of a concern on that point, because this mobility is adequate. He's not really a mover, but I feel like Cam Newton would definitely be able to help him a bit, feel a little bit comfortable moving a little bit more, and probably show him little tricks what to do in the pocket and what not to do. So when you get a running quarterback like that, it kind of does help out. So, you can learn from that. If Brady was still around, he'd be just learning the same stuff Brady already knows, and it would just be yeah, Brady, I already know this stuff. It's oh, well, okay, never mind. It's just teaching him stuff that he already knows. And the kid's smart. I heard that he's got a 4.5 GPA. He's a smart kid. So he's got a good head. He's got a good head on him, and he's going to be absolutely killer when he gets to be able to start. So,
and his accuracy was on point in Alabama. They said that was one of his best traits, was his accuracy.
Yes, yeah, accuracy was usually very good at all levels. Deep accuracy was typically good, ranging from 30 and 45 yards. So I'd say, Brady could definitely do the 30 and 45 yards, but not. There have been times where he's missed, or he's overshot it, or he's undershot it. But there are other times where he has actually hit it. But to hear this, I feel like he'd have more of a chance of getting a completion in that range than Brady would. So I feel like that definitely is a very good chance of getting the ball off and all that kind of stuff. So let's see, he's polished in his maneuvering of the pocket, fearless from throwing when pressure. and kept eyes downfield consistently, and has a good sense for the pass rush, buying time and I can't even read my own. Shifting, sorry. I first I
Buying
couldn't.
time in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean shifting away from it and delivering an
From pressure,
accurate
yeah.
throw. So yeah,
Okay.
sorry. It's like it almost looks a little cursive, so I got myself mixed up. Like that's what happens when you're a lefty. You start off like everything's like nice and symmetrical, and then I just go into like a cursive looking right, and it's like it's kind of funny. But yeah, so I mean, in my eyes, I feel like I'm not gonna give a grade just yet because I'll go to another weakness for him. Would
Yep.
sometimes pass up short. Safe throws for more challenging throws. That will kind of drive coaches crazy. But I mean, it definitely probably might drive Belichick crazy. But I feel like he will not mind it because he's done his research at least on Mac Jones, so it's like he can definitely teach this, and so can McDaniels. He can definitely teach him what he needs to do. It's like, it's like don't ever distress. Don't like get to that point where you need to throw it short or anything like that. Just do what you need to do. And so for some reason, this was apparently a concern. For some reason, I don't know why, but he threw 85 screen passes, and that's the second most in the nation, behind Trevor Lawrence himself. So, and he had 591 yards, second most in the nation. Lawrence had 686. So the one thing about that, it's like I don't get why it's a concern. I feel like when you could do a screen pass, and especially with the offense that Belichick, like he's not afraid to use, or even McDaniels, I should say, he's not afraid to use the screen pass.
Exactly. They use that all the time.
I mean, that's basically been the Patriots, offense for years. So
yeah, and we had
that's perfect. That's perfect fit here. We still got James White and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've got like running backs that definitely can catch the ball in that kind of situation. So I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those scouting reports, that they had to put in, I guess. But like, I feel like it'd be a strength in our book. Like this was definitely a strength. So
he definitely seems like the perfect fit for the offense that we were running with Brady. So it's probably going to go back to that similar style.
Yeah,
I think so too.
We get the two tight ends that we were trying to run for a while. So
yeah,
I think they're gonna kind of goes back to that similar thing. I was looking up on I was just looking up his comparison and his draft profile, and Bleacher Report compares him to Phillip Rivers. So if he could be that kind of style quarterback
with Belichick.
Yeah, Belichick could definitely win with the quarterback of like Rivers' talent because he had a great arm.
I feel like
he said he wasn't like the most mobile, but he was mobile enough to make plays in the pocket, which would be perfect, I think.
Maybe not as many as Brady, but at least a couple.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
basically, he's gonna be like he should be a starting caliber NFL quarterback, which is what we need because that's not what Cam Newton was last year.
Starting NFL caliber quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean. Phillip Rivers, if you know Phillip Rivers, he took the Chargers to the playoffs multiple times, despite that organization
being a joke.
Being a dumpster fire.
It's crazy. So,
oh yeah,
so if he's that talented, yeah,
I'll take it.
To show how talented Phillip Rivers was, and it's kind of sad to see him go out the way he did. To be absolutely honest, I think I'd rather take Phillip Rivers over Cam Newton last season. I feel like we would probably have a much better chance of making the playoffs and winning the playoff game. But at the same time,
he could still throw the ball.
Yeah,
I would say. I know we all wanted Fields, like we wanted that mobile style quarterback because that's kind of like the way the NFL is trending towards. But I am still glad that they at least took a quarterback at that pick, addressed the need because that was our biggest need, no doubt.
Big time.
And the fact that they took a guy that could be our potential future quarterback, I'm happy they did that. If he can be somewhat at least starter level talented, then we can win with that. We can make the playoffs with that. So. I like the pick a lot. I'm glad they made that pick, and I'm glad they didn't trade down. Looking back on it, like there was so many teams that were trying to get up and get Fields, so it was like unlikely that we probably would have gotten him anyway.
Yeah.
And the Saints were trying to get up ahead of us to get Mac Jones.
Yeah, they were.
So
and I think even Minnesota Vikings even were like trying to get themselves up there to get either Fields or Jones. So it's like,
no, the Vikings were trying to get Fields, but when the Bears took him, they decided to, and after the Chargers ended up taking the tackle that they wanted too, they decided to trade back, and that the Saints were trying to get up there where the Vikings were, but I forget who they traded with. I think it was the Jets. They ended up making the deal with the Jets because the Jets were a little bit higher up in the first round.
Right.
So thankful for us, the Jets actually were the ones that were able to get up there instead of someone else that, like the Saints, that were going to steal them from us.
Yeah,
That
they
would
technically
try.
already
So-
took their franchise quarterback, or, well, quote-unquote franchise quarterback. We'll see what happens. It's the Jets. They
Exactly,
fumbled
yeah.
everything.
It is the
They
Jets.
screwed over
They
Mark
always
Sanchez.
they have a great
They
draft,
messed up with
and
Sam
then-
Darnold. Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
they did. They'll probably mess up Wilson.
yeah, and
All
it's
right,
going to
so
be sad because
what would
it'll
we give,
end up being a quarterback that deserves a talented quarterback that deserves to be in the playoffs / at least have a ring, and hopefully Darnold will flourish in Carolina. That I hope for the best for him. But other than that, it's just Jets is a butt fumble of a freaking franchise, and it's just their fan base
Yep.
is loyal, but they're probably at the point where they might just literally start burning jerseys left and right. But,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, they already have. I know that for years.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just close out our profile on
I'm Mackie.
Mac Jones.
The Big Mac. Yep.
And
That's what it's gonna be.
Yep.
That's what his nickname is gonna be on from now on. In my book. In my book, his Big Mac.
Let's get our draft grades on him. What would you give him for a draft grade, Liam?
Solid A. Definitely solid A. Solid.
Solid
A.
A. All right. I would give it an A as well. He wasn't the best quarterback in the draft, obviously. He went 5th. But I think he's going to be a solid starter in the NFL, and that's what we need for our future. So I give it a solid A. They didn't trade down, so I'm happy about that. What about you, Vinny?
I'd give him an A. The more I read about him on the post-draft results and the more I read about him from college and stuff, I'm liking him. Not to mention, there's a lot of Mac songs that we could play in Gillette Stadium for this guy if he's good. I'm just saying, Return of the Mac.
Yeah, that probably would be added to the Patriots playlist when he becomes a starter.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There's
I
so
like
many.
that.
It would be awesome. Like,
Yeah, I know.
instead of Mike Jones, Mac Jones, who? Mac Jones.
And the funny thing is, his real name is Michael.
So it could be Mike
Okay.
Jones. Woo.
Yeah, his actual name is hold on. His middle name was a weird name. Let me try to find it here real quick.
Well, it's
I've
got to
seen
be
it
the
seen
abbreviation
the
of
other day.
Mac because, like, usually if you're Michael, you would go with Mike or Michael himself. So that's it's a little surprising.
Yeah, it was Michael McCorkle Jones.
Okay, McCorkle, you said?
So, yes,
Okay.
McCorkle.
McCorkle. Oh, no wonder why he goes with Mac.
Yep, that's his
Michael
real
Mac
name, Michael McCorkle Jones.
But no, it sounds a lot better when you go Michael Mac Jones. So that's probably why I did it. So
Yeah. So, hey, not bad. But moving on, with the Patriots pick in the second round, and they traded up with the Bengals to get this player because they identified him as the best player in the draft at that point left. And I think it might be our best pick, barring, he might actually be the best player, I think, coming out of this draft. If Mac's our starting quarterback, obviously that will be the best pick. But I think this guy's going to be the most talented, and that is Alabama again, back-to-back Alabama picks. We took defensive tackle Christian Barmore, and this guy was projected to go into the late first round, early second. So getting him in the early second was actually, right at the back end of his value, which was really good. He's a big guy.
That was a big-time
6'4",
steal.
310 pounds.
Yeah.
But he's not your typical defensive tackle. He's not that big, typical run-stuffing tackle. He can stuff the run. He is good against the run, but he is also a very skilled pass rusher, which is something the Patriots haven't had in a long time in that defensive tackle spot. The last guy that they really had that was like that was probably Trey Flowers, who they lost in free agency a few years back. And they're similar players because Flowers was able to play all along the defensive line, and I think this guy can do the same thing. He is like more of a pass rusher like Flowers was, where he can penetrate the middle, and he led Bama in sacks last year, and he led the conference SEC with 39 quarterback pressures. So this guy can get after it, and he really blossomed in the second half of last year because Saban kind of just let him off the reins and let him go go get the quarterbacks, and that's where he really showed up and got all his sacks and pressures. He bases his pass rushing game out of a strong rip move. He's a good tackler in space for a defensive tackle. He definitely has played all over the defensive line. He's played on end. He's played on right in the middle defensive tackle. He's really good with stunts. He uses a swim and bull rush move to complement his base rip, and he knows how to impact the throwing lane when he can't get to the quarterback. So when he realizes he can't get to the quarterback in time, he knows when to get his hands up in the air and block passes. So that's good to have. He's definitely a smart player. Yeah. As for negatives, the second effort as a pass rusher is not really want it to be. So if he kind of gets behind the quarterback, behind the play, he may not have that motor to get back into the play as much as some other players, kind of like a Chase Winovich would, where he's just flying all over the field. Not as talented as a pass rusher, but his motor is just nonstop, so that's why he's able to get those second efforts. This guy, not so much. I think it's a great pick.
I would say if he doesn't get a penalty, but gets to the quarterback, then that's fine. But yeah. I mean, but if he ends up getting like a penalty that like gives him like a couple extra yards, then yeah, that definitely can like be a very.
He was
big...
the defensive MVP in the national championship game that Alabama won, so he had a great game there. He definitely one of those players that comes up big in big time games. I think he's going to be probably better than Flowers was. So like if you think about that kind of player that Flowers was, I think he can be better than him. I think he's more talented than Flowers was. Flowers was a 4th round pick, obviously. He had a bit of a higher motor.
Yeah, looked great though.
I think this guy's
for
just
a 4th round
more
pick,
talented.
Yeah, as a 4th round pick, he was great. So,
and this has been something that the Patriots have been trying to find for years. I mean, Belichick has always been trying to find that defensive tackle that can, pressure from the middle, because that's where if you can get pressure up the middle, you can really disrupt some quarterbacks, especially like the ones like Brady, where like that's how we know as Patriots fans, that's how you would stop him, is get pressure in his face.
Yep.
It's tough. It's easier to get around the pressure coming around the edges because they can step up in the pocket. But when the quarterback can't step up in the pocket, it makes it a lot harder for them. So this guy's going to cause some problems for their offenses, and I think Bill's definitely happy about getting this, and I think he put an emphasis on the front seven. We noticed it with the free agency and even this draft, where he loaded up on linebackers and defensive linemen because he wasn't happy about it last year. We got torched on the run, and we couldn't get any pressure. We couldn't get any push on the front line there.
Yeah, and especially against teams that weren't really a running team, and it was like it's tough to watch.
San Francisco just ran all over us with their 4th string running back last year.
Yeah.
Miami ran all over us for like 200 yards. Like that was a real problem, and I think that was a focal point of the offseason for Bill. And this guy fits the bill.
Yep.
No pun intended.
No. That pun is definitely
the kind of guy we need. That's pretty much all I have on him. I would say, to give him a grade, getting this kind of guy in the 2nd round, I would give it an A+. I think he's going to be a stud for us on the defensive line, and he's going to have a good, long career. And another good note about him, growing up, he was a huge Patriots fan.
Oh,
which is funny because
even better than
he grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He grew up in Philadelphia, but he was a huge Patriots fan and a huge Alabama fan because, quote, he loves dominating teams, and the Patriots were a dominating team.
Oh yeah, for 20 years.
His whole childhood growing up. Basically.
Like
so
he watched
was a huge Patriots
us dominate, Carolina. Then he watched us dominate Philly to win those 2 Super Bowls, and then obviously the 3rd one. And then it's like,
And him being from Philly, which was kind of funny. So I mean, that's pretty cool. Getting this guy, he's a huge Patriots fan. He comes here and he's playing for the Patriots now.
Yeah.
So
actually,
I think that was a great pick. What would you give him for a grade, Liam?
A+, same as you, definitely. So it's nice. It's definitely nice to have 2 guys that want to be with the Patriots. Pretty much, Mac Jones even said that he wanted to, he secretly really wanted to be picked up by the Patriots, and look what happened. So that's scary, and it's good, and it just means that he's going to have fuel they're both going to have fuel to like do the best for us and to do their job, learn, be even more better than they were back in Bama. And that's the scary part. And you know what? AFC, you better look out. Buccaneers, you better look out. Because these guys are going to be coming running for this job opportunity. They're gonna take any chance they can to knock this freaking main roster.
Yeah, they
All right,
will.
Vinny, what would you give him for a grade?
I'd give him an A plus as well. I'm excited to see what he can do up front with some better talent around him and to see what he can do against some better opponents. It's going to be a nice addition. Hopefully he can transition it to the NFL game. I'm excited.
All right. Next up, Patriots had a third round pick, and this was 96 overall, so they had to wait a little bit for this guy. And it was Ronnie Perkins, defensive end out of Oklahoma. And he wasn't expected to be there that late in the third round. So this is probably another guy that they kind of got as a little bit of a steal in the third round there. So, Vinny, why don't you take it away on Perkins?
Yeah, he was actually supposed to be around 50 to 75 range is the projected pick on Perkins.
And they
Just
got
a
him at
career.
96.
Yeah, it's good
That's
value right there. Real good value. And we all know how Bill likes his value. So, looking at his career stats real quick, 95 total tackles, 58 were solos, 16 and a half sacks. Those are some good numbers for a defensive end, if you think about it for us.
Bill
We're
wants
gonna look
that.
at. Oh yeah, he's perfect for the 3-4 defense, which, as you know, we run a lot of that. So he should make a very good impact.
Now, do you know why he was available late in the third when he was supposed to go higher?
Most likely because he was suspended for drug use.
Oh, yes, it was suspended. Yeah, he had
But
a failed drug test. That's right.
it
6
turned
games, I
out to
think.
be just marijuana. So
Yeah.
it all depends
we-
on each owner, really.
Yeah,
What
we've
their
seen Bill
position is.
take guys that have had that issues in the past. It really isn't that huge thing. Like, not every time
No.
you have a failed drug test, it's not like a Josh Gordon situation. And people always think Josh Gordon, he couldn't stop smoking weed, but it was more than just weed. It was alcohol with him and
Yeah.
like painkillers. Like he had an addiction to everything, and that was his huge problem. So, failed drug test for marijuana really isn't that big of a deal.
And it's sad
No,
to hear
not
that
at all.
because it's like, with a talented guy like Gordon who can make catches, like he's made some unbelievable catches at times. It's sad to see that kind of talent just like get that type of sickness
Yeah.
and just be addicted that way. And especially after
So
so
this
many
guy-
chances.
This guy Perkins, he's a defensive end, so it's another
Yep.
defensive line player that Bill took.
Exactly. The only thing with this guy, he's really tight-hipped, and he's average athlete, so he's not really like the typical defensive end, hungry, ready to go. A few strengths with him. He's got some production relative into the games he's played. So, like, if you look at all the games he's played, he does produce. Granted, he wasn't there all the time, but he does produce. He has 24 tackles for loss with 11 and a half sacks in his last 19 games alone. With that small of a sample size, think about it. That could be good, real good for us. He's able to burst in the gaps with his pads low, and as we all know, being football fans, playing football as kids, lower center of gravity, you'll get through the line. He's able to get low. He's able to use his time to stab open doors and get around the edges. He's able to feel around the way the new quarterbacks are, which is scrambling, mobile quarterbacks. And
Now,
he's
his
adequate.
style of pass rushing is speed, right? I'm reading it. He's very fast.
Yes,
pass
he needs to slap and run pretty much. He slaps the hands, gets out of the way, and
Yeah.
moves. He's not gonna burst through the line and be physical with you. He's gonna get around you. He's gonna have his moves. And that's pretty much his weaknesses. Is he's not physical, so physical tackles will knock him around. His hip is narrow, so he's not going to be able to get the stance wide enough to be able to force them back. With his narrow stance, he's unable to widen his base. His foot speed is not very fast. It's actually average along with his lateral movement, so he can't go sideline to sideline, but he can go up and down the field. With defensive ends. It's really nice to go sideline to sideline, but it's not necessary to be amazing. We'll see
Yeah.
how that plays out if they could teach him. He
He's
also
pretty tall. He's 6'3", so he kind of reminds me of like a Dietrich Wise type of guy that, tall, lanky, just uses speed as his game, kind of like a situational pass rusher.
exactly, exactly. So they're gonna have to use him in the right way and teach him how to get the handwork and the footwork going better. Overall, with this guy, I mean, he does fit a need. We just have to see if he can earn his spot. And where he was picked, it's hard to go wrong with giving this guy an A. I mean, and giving the draft pick an A overall. This guy fell right into their laps at 96. Can't beat that.
Yeah. I mean, if he becomes an every down defensive end pass rusher type for us, then I would definitely give it a solid A plus.
Yes.
I think he's going to be more of a situational type of guy who, I mean, we have Belichick loves rotating guys in and out, so I can see why he's stockpiling them. He could end up being like a Josh Uche, Dietrich Wise, one of those guys that is just rotating in, third down pass rusher. Want just another guy that's talented, but he won't be out there every down. I would give it a solid B, maybe a B plus. I'm kind of on the edge there. I think. I mean, I also read that he's because of his speed, he probably will get in on as in special teams too.
Yes.
So, for third round, late third round, this is a compensatory pick. This was the compensatory pick that we got for losing Tom Brady.
Oh yeah. Way to put salt on the wound.
He has some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost Tom Brady. Here's a defensive end from Oklahoma. Thanks.
Yeah. But hey, another SEC guy. I like it. Not too bad. What would you give it for a grade, Liam?
I think I'll just go with the safe bet of a B plus. Definitely the same here. I feel like he'll definitely, if he can grow during the off season and definitely work on his weaknesses, then I feel like if he cracks the main roster, looks good, then he'll definitely go from B plus to solid A plus. So, but only time will tell. We gotta wait till the practice facilities are opened up and ready to go and see what how it's gonna go.
Okay. Moving on, the Patriots' next pick was in the fourth rounds, number 120 overall, and they took running back Ramondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma. So they went back-to-back Alabama, and then they went back-to-back Oklahoma players. Sticking with the SEC, which I can't complain.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they're sticking with SEC players, and they didn't, go for Joe Schmo out of East Wichita State in the third round that they've done before. Players that draft analysts go, hold on, wait, let me try to find this guy. Yeah, I have him going as a 6th, 7th, maybe undrafted free agent. So I guess the Patriots like him a lot better than we do. We've heard that many times in the past, so I'm glad they didn't do that this year.
Exactly, dude. I'm with you on that one. I mean, when you look at the guy's stats too, he's a pass catcher and running back. So I mean, 28 receiving yards out of the backfield.
They said he's big and physical, but he also can play in the passing games. And I seen one of the sites compare him to a LeGarrette Blount with hands.
Exactly, and that's a good thing. And
yes, we haven't
correction
had a
on my
Blount.
part. It's actually 28 receptions out of the backfield for 298 yards. So, I mean, and his longest reception was for 45 yards. So, I mean, this guy can catch the ball and run after the catch.
So he's not like your James White type of third down back, running back, where he's going to be catching the ball a lot. He's more of that physical, in between the tackles runner, but he can get out in space and catch the ball if he's open. So, I mean, that's always great to have. You always want your running backs to be able to catch the ball.
Exactly. And just some rushing stats. I mean, he's 165 rushing attempts with 1,100 yards with 13 touchdowns. So, I mean, in 2 years, that's not bad. That's pretty good. Pretty good in Oklahoma, especially with one being COVID and not really being a year. So, I mean, I'd take that. And a side note on this guy, which Bill probably is the reason why Bill drafted this guy, he does play defense. In 2019, he had six total tackles, 4 solos, and 2 assisted tackles. So, I mean,
Bill loves guys that are very versatile like that. I know I seen him on, I think it was Twitter or maybe Instagram, talking with Julian Edelman, talking about how it's important to contribute in special teams too. So I mean, this guy's probably going to be all over the place, offense, special teams. You might even see him on defense sometimes too. You never know.
I wouldn't be
Exactly.
surprised.
I wouldn't be
You know,
surprised either. You know how Bill liked to do that with Troy Brown. If he can see this guy doing something as linebacker or safety, he'll do it. He'll
And
do
it
it.
adds another running back to the
Arsenal.
running back room. Damian Harris, Michelle, White, Taylor, and Bolden. And Bill loves to start the season with a ton of running backs because they get injured. I mean, it's just
Exactly. Running back
fact.
by
Running backs get
committee.
injured.
Happened to White
And
and happened to
yep,
Michelle.
happened to
Burkhead.
Harris
Yep.
and Michelle last year at all different times. So having a third guy in there for some, if we get some injuries or for short on running backs, having another one to turn to is always good. So
Exactly. Exactly.
what are some of his what are some other his positives and negatives, Vinny?
Well, he's a wrecking ball runner who tends to be a all flight, no flight in between the hash marks, which is perfect. Burly, thick
Okay.
frame, like we were
North-south type of
saying,
runner.
is like a LeGarrette Blunt type, which is honestly what we've been missing in the running game. Doesn't have much finesse,
Yep.
which is fine. That's what his bulkiness will make up for. Some
Goal
real
line
good,
type of back.
yes, some real good strengths for this guy. Very little wear and tear on his legs. Only a total of 165 carries at Oklahoma with 1,100 yards. I mean, that's not a lot. So we might actually have this guy for a little bit. His running style is willful, so we're good on that. And he has adequate burst for lateral cuts from the downfield track. So if he needs to break a tackle down the field, he should be able to break the tackle.
Just
He
going
did,
back real quick to what you just said about him not having a lot of workload in college. That's a real good thing, actually, because especially running backs of his type, the big, bulky kind, the more they run in college, the more they get wear and tear on their bodies, and it shortens their NFL career. I mean, a running back's NFL career is already short as it is, so the more fresh he is coming out of college will be more beneficial in the pros for us.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because it's not like kickers and even sometimes quarterbacks. Like
Yeah.
it depending on how much you get hit, as a quarterback, and it depends on
Running
how
backs
hard
get
you
hit
get.
the most out of all the
Yeah.
other positions, so that's they have a shorter shelf life in every single
Exactly.
position.
Yeah.
So
The same thing with kickers or with quarterbacks. It's just like they don't get hit that much unless someone's really good at special teams gets past that line and he failed. But you don't usually see that they're going for the ball most of the time. So yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, look at Adam Vinatieri, I mean, and Tom Brady, of course. Just like two guys that, like, definitely, I think, still in the league. I think Vinatieri's even like making a comeback, even after having, I think, hip surgery or something like that. So
now it's funny the Garrett Blunt comparisons because this guy wore 29 in college. That was Garrett Blunt's number with the Patriots. And
yeah,
just seeing some of his highlights, he looks just like him. He's bouncing off of tackles, just kind of putting his head down, running through guys.
Yep.
He's definitely that. He's a little bit smaller in size than Blunt was, but he's like a bowling ball out there. So he's definitely got the same amount of bulk.
Exactly. He's
I
able to
wouldn't be.
carry the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. You go.
All right. So I mean, and I was just gonna continue with a few of his strengths. That's all.
Yep.
He's able to carry the first tackle and fall forward. So if he gets tackled, he's not gonna fall backwards. He's gonna push forward on that. He's a potential late game option. So if you want to save, Michelle, don't want to save Michelle, but if you want to save
This
Michelle,
guy.
you can put him in late game and put Michelle on the bench. His hands are soft enough to work out of the backfield, which is, in my eye, could also be a negative. If you think about it, soft hands, which is why he might not have a lot of receptions out of the backfield. Just saying. If used effectively in the swing screens, he can get the ball into space. His size and power, being a shorter, bulkier guy, he's able to keep his quarterback protected. A few weaknesses, though, on this guy. He does need the ball tight to his frame. Otherwise, he most likely will fumble it. He's only
They're gonna have
limited.
to work that out of him.
Yeah, Bill doesn't like fumbles.
Nope.
Nope, he will bench him if he fumbles.
Easily,
Bench him?
easily.
He might cut his ass. Like, you kidding me? Hey, we've
Shit,
seen that
we
plenty
all
of times
remember
with special teams.
Jonas Gray, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Similar kind of guy. I mean, hell, what's his name? Stephen Ridley, he had a huge fumbling issue, and he did not. I mean, he was literally our only running back that we had. That's the reason why Bill kept him. But then after so many times of his fumbling, they just said, you know what, we're going with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and goodbye, Stephen Ridley. Green Ellis wasn't as a super productive back, but the thing was he just never ever fumbled. He never had a fumble in his entire career. So
Exactly.
Bill would rather have a guy like that that would only get 3 yards as opposed to a guy that would get 10 and then fumble on the next run.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, last thing we need.
But overall, for grades, what would you give him for a grade, Vinny?
With all the weaknesses that this guy has as well, I mean, limited to one cuts, blurred vision, doesn't see extra holes, needs improved setting up blockers, has a chance of fumbling. Being in the fourth round, I'd probably give him a low B, high B minus.
Okay. Liam?
Yeah, I kind of want to kind of agree, but I'll give him a C plus. Definitely
C plus,
because
okay.
I'm definitely not liking the fact that he's got soft hands and there's possible chance to fumble it. So I'm like just kind of like Belichick on that point. You fumble,
Yeah.
your ass is out. Like no questions asked. But what about my family? Screw your family. You fumbled the ball. Do your job and maybe put food on the table. Yeah. So
I'm probably similar with that. I give him
So.
like a C plus. I think he's gonna be. I don't think he'll ever be the starter. I think he's gonna be, the
backup.
usually a second or third guy, depending on how the depth chart plays out. He'll probably be a goal line back, but the thing with that is if he starts fumbling, he won't be on the goal line because that's especially the worst place to fumble if you're gonna fumble anywhere is on the goal line. But right when you're about to score, those are killers, and he won't tolerate that. So he's gonna have to prove himself for them to use him there. He'll probably typical with running backs in rookie season, Belichick kind of redshirts them a little bit. Like Damian Harris did not play at all his rookie season. The only reason Sony Michel played his rookie season was because they just had so many injuries. They needed him to play. They didn't have anybody. I mean, we were running with Sony Michel and Cordell Patterson, who was a wide receiver for a while. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
he
he
was
might get
killing it.
redshirted. If Michelle and Harris go down with injuries at the same time, then we'll probably see him get some action. But if they're healthy, then he'll probably won't play as much. But I think he could be a solid running back for him. So I'll give him a C plus as well. Then we'll move on to their last. They had 4 more picks. The next one was in the 5th round, and we'll just do a quick overview of these ones. The next one was round 5, number 177 overall. It was linebacker out of Michigan, Cameron McGrone. This guy is a middle linebacker type as opposed to an outside. He's more of like Dante Hightower, but obviously not as talented as Hightower. He's coming off a torn ACL that he got in November, so he probably won't be available this upcoming year. So this is probably a pick towards the future in the following season, maybe preparing for a Dante Hightower retirement. Or I mean, they have a few guys there in the middle that may not be here the next season. So I mean, you just got to keep stockpiling players at that position to kind of build up the linebacker core because we were weak in that position last season. So we'll see how that plays out. It could be a decent pick. We'll see. He's 6'1", 236 pounds. So he's a pretty decent for a middle linebacker. In round 6, they went number 188 overall, safety out of Missouri, Joshua Bledsoe. We got another Bledsoe on the Patriots.
Hey.
And they said Bledsoe, he's a versatile player who has experience in the slot and safety, so he can kind of play multiple positions back there. Belichick loves that. Probably going to contribute on special teams as well. Probably a guy preparing for, again, similar to the pick before him with linebacker. Patriots are pretty deep at safety with McCourty, Phillips, Duggar, and even Mills, who they just got in free agency, who could play safety and cornerback. But we're probably expecting McCourty not to be here much longer because he's getting old in the tooth. So this could be another guy adding to the depth chart, preparing for when we lose guys like McCourty. So again, probably a guy that we won't see play as much next year. But he will be out there, so you'll probably see him a lot more on special teams.
Most likely special teams.
Yeah, round 6, number 197 overall, they took offensive lineman William Sherman out of Colorado. Um, this guy is actually supposed to have projected to be better than where he was picked. He could be another one. Like it feels like they use their late picks here to prepare for potential replacements in 2 years, because we do have Trent Brown, but he may only be here for a year. They did just pick up Isaiah Wynn's fifth-year option, but he'll be going on into a free agent year after this season. So they definitely could use some depth there on offensive line. So another guy we may not see this season, but he may be huge for us the following season. And then with their final pick, round 7, number 242 overall, this was a personal selection by the long-tenured Patriots. I can't even call him a coach, because I mean he's been all over the coaching staff and all over the organization doing stuff. And Belichick announced that this would be his last draft. We're not sure if he's going to retire or if he's going to stick around with the Patriots in other positions. But Ernie Adams, and if you don't know who he is, he's basically been the Rain Man of the Patriots. This guy has been with the Patriots since 1975, if you didn't know.
Holy cow! Okay, yeah, I actually did not know that. Like, he's
Yeah,
got longevity
so-
with us. Like, that's
He's been with us for almost 50 years. It'll be
Yeah.
50 years in like 4 years. So yeah, like
Good on him.
46 years he's been with the Patriots, which is crazy. He's kind of what he does isn't really too well known, but he's kind of like he's definitely Belichick's like right hand man. He's been credited with a lot of great success for the Patriots. Just it's hard to even pinpoint what he does, because like it's been so secret with his tenure, but everyone talks highly of him, so you know he's definitely had a factor in a lot of things. But this was his personal pick, which is funny because he had a similar pick early in 2002, 7th round wide receiver David Givens. That was his pick that Belichick gave him. And with his final pick, he took another wide receiver, Trey Nixon, wide receiver out of UCF. Trey Nixon is 6 foot, 187 pounds. He originally went to Mississippi, and then he was recruited by Alabama and Georgia, but he transferred to Central Florida. So he was a big time school prospect, but I think he just went to South Florida so he can actually get some more playing time, because those other teams had a lot of receivers already that would be in front of him. He has a 6.81 time in the 3-cone drill. That's a drill the Patriots love, players that can run that 3-cone. And hopefully he can develop into something. You know, they took Julian Edelman in the 7th round, David Givens in the 2nd round. Like, they've had some success in the 7th round with wide receivers, so who knows? And it'll be perfect if this was Ernie Adams' final pick with the Patriots, that he turns into something really good. So, hey, we can hope. It's definitely a need for us at wide receiver.
Yeah, definitely, especially on a wide receiver core. That's like kind of like the only one that's really kind of good is Dorsett, and and a couple other guys. So we need as much help as we can in the wide receiver, because like if we don't have
Well,
any
right now the wide
receivers-
receiver core is looking like we got Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, Gunnar Olszewski.
Yep.
That name is always hard to pronounce.
always.
And then we have Christian Wilkerson, Isaiah Zuber, and Devin Smith. And then add in Trey Nixon. So a lot of players, but none that really stand out. And if I had to guess, based on, despite any trades, if I had to guess who would be on the team come starting day, it'd probably be Aguilar, Bourne, Myers, Harry, Olszewski, and maybe this guy Nixon. I don't think they'll have Wilkerson, Zuber, or Smith. They might go to the practice squad. Nixon may even be going to the practice squad. We don't know. But unless there's some trades, the wide receiver group isn't going to be as strong. It's a lot of guys that are decent, more second or number 2, number 3, number 4 type guys, but they don't really have that number 1.
Yeah, we need somebody that's more than decent. We need somebody good. We need somebody great.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
Bourne
like,
and Myers are going to be like the slot receiver types, like Edelman was.
yep,
Aguilar's kind of that, like, stretch the field, deep threat kind of guy, but he's not really consistent with it. And then Harry, he's been a complete bust. And Olszewski's more of a punt returner, special teams ace than he is a receiver anyway.
yeah, but he
So-
looked good when he was like in that receiving spot at least. Like
He was all right, but he definitely isn't a polished receiver that you can really count on. So
no, because they mainly
mean-
polished him for to be the special teams guy,
Yeah.
and he's perfect.
So
for
I,
that.
I still think they need to add to this position. I mean, you do have June 1st cuts, maybe potential trades coming after June 1st. Because I mean, really, if you look at it, the only receivers that I think that will really produce is Bourne, Myers, and Aguilar, and
Yeah,
they're kind of average at best. So they're gonna need receivers. And
Oh, yeah.
who knows what Nixon will turn into, and who knows if Harry will actually decide to finally show up, or if they trade him. There's been talks of trading him. So I mean, there's been rumors about Julio Jones, which that would be perfect. Who knows what will happen? And obviously they went out and got the 2 tight ends because they want to kind of go more to that tight end style offense, which will help somewhat in the passing game. But you still need that. You still need that number 1 receiver, I think. in my
especially
opinion.
Hunter Henry. Oh, he's gonna be a great pickup. And like we
Jairo
got him.
Smith too. I mean, he's very athletic, so I think he's going to be a
Oh yeah,
real good
both of them
find
are
for
just gonna
us.
be perfect. Like they're both big bodies. They're gonna block. Know that for a fact. And they have great
Yeah.
hands. So it's like they're definitely gonna catch the ball. It's not gonna be like the other tight ends we had that are dropping the ball or even just not going for a big
Yeah.
jump that needs to be oi, jump for the ball, you fat son of a bitch.
All right, so let's give our closing arguments on the draft overall, closing thoughts. Just kind of give your final opinions on it and maybe a final overall grade for the Patriots in this draft. Start with Liam.
Oh, how sweet! You're such a sweet guy. But I feel like this is definitely a solid A minus. For some of these picks, we definitely got 2 A's that definitely help out. And we got the B plus. That so I like it though. It was a good draft. Belichick was kind of on the barn burner for this whole thing because we all know what his record was with drafts. That he would trade down and not really go for like somebody that really needed to be picked by us. So good on him to finally break that little stretch of time between the drafts. Pick up who we need, and all I see is some good things right now. Yeah, it might not. I mean, I'm hoping for at least maybe playoffs to get at least to the wild card game. But I mean, even if we have like a successful year, and look good with some of these guys, I'll be happy with that too. Because then we could go into the next season, definitely pick and choose like who, which contracts are definitely coming up, who we're going to sign, who we're going to keep, get rid of, trade. So it's going to be an interesting year. And especially after June 1st, I can't wait because hopefully we'll land Julio Jones. We'll, definitely look at the wide receiver core and, help out Newton / Mac Jones in the long run. So A minus, good on your Belichick. Let's get back into that Super Bowl. Let's get back into the winning seasons for Boston because we're looking a little meh. But at least Bruins, Red Sox are looking great. So, yeah.
Amen to that. All right, Vinny, what would you give your overall thoughts on the draft?
I'm gonna say the overall thoughts are an A. They fit a bunch of needs that this team needed. Big need that I thought that I wanted that they did was get a quarterback in the first round. Granted, it's not the quarterback
Yep.
I wanted. I wanted Justin Fields. I wanted them to actually move up and make some trades, but it's a quarterback. It fits their old style of offense. They fit a bunch of needs, bunch of depth pieces. I'm just hoping all these guys can be a hit this year, like they did in previous years with the Jamie Collins draft. I'm being optimistic, so we'll see how it goes overall. I'm excited for this year, excited for training camp to see how these guys compete for a roster spot. I can see Mac Jones compete for that starting role and even a backup role if he can't get the starting role right away. But overall, I'm excited for this off season, the rest of this off season. Maybe see what happens with Julio Jones. But A for me overall with this grade.
All right, I think I'm right there with you. I'll give it a total as an A. Like I said, the first round, I love that they actually went after their biggest need, which was quarterback. We got one of the top five. I'm happy with that. Definitely needed a future quarterback. So I'm happy with that pick. I think he can be a starter for us. I think their second pick of Baltimore is going to be a starter as well. So I feel like they got two starters definitely that even can contribute this coming next year. So that's always a plus right there if you can get two solid starters in the beginning of the draft. The third and the fourth picks with Perkins and Stevenson, I think they're going to be quality depth guys. I think which you need to build that depth as well as getting starters. So I think those are great picks right there. And then with their final four picks, they got guys that will be hopefully depth down the line. May take a couple years to really show up, but I mean, with late round picks, what more can you ask for? So I like that. My biggest thing was I like that they went after players out of the SEC a lot because that's the conference where NFL players come from. They didn't go to all these lower schools or Division twos as much as they have in the past. They stuck with their picks. They didn't trade down for value. They just when it got to them, they either traded up when they identified someone or they took someone at their pick, which I loved because Belichick has been known for trading down pretty much almost in every draft he's been in, and he didn't trade down once this year. He traded up once, and every other pick was they picked someone there. So now he's even with trade downs and trade ups, 28 and 28. So everyone says Bill trades down all the time. Well, now you can't say that because he's traded up just as much as he's traded down.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I love that. I love that they took players that they thought were the best player at the position. And I'm glad that they got some depth and two potential starters off the bat. And if they are potential two starters off the bat, I think this draft will be a solid A. And this is definitely something they need, and they need to keep racking these drafts up. Keep racking it up and move it on because you got to make up for those about 5 years in the past that we've kind of had misses. I think last year, Duggar looked really good. I think Uche is going to be really good. I'm not sure so much about Jennings, but if we can get two solid starters and a couple depth players out of every draft going forward, it's going to go a long way to helping rebuild this team and get more talent because that's what we've been missing. So I'm happy with this draft. I feel like they addressed a lot of needs: quarterback, defense, defensive line, front seven, all that. The only weakness I see still here is wide receiver.
Yep.
But who knows? The offseason's not over yet, so we can still address that need. But right now, I feel like that's our only biggest need. So, I mean, that's good when you address a lot of your needs coming out of the free agency and the draft. So, going forward, things are looking up, I think. I'm excited for the season to get here. Hopefully, we see more of Mac Jones than we do Cam Newton. Because we can't go through that again last year.
No.
But that about wraps things up for our draft recap. We will be back this weekend with another Bruins, closing up the Bruins season and getting ready for the playoffs.
Oh, actually,
So until then,
Saturday, after the Saturday one, we still have technically 2 games.
yes.
So, I mean,
So we might do a Saturday one. We might wait until when's the last game? Is it next Monday or Tuesday?
I think it's next Wednesday, actually. I could be wrong, though.
Okay.
So, but it's either, because I think the Islanders, it's a back-to-back. So it's like Islanders then Washington.
Okay.
So I think it's Monday and Tuesday. If not Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, so we might do one or two more Bruins recap podcasts before the season ends and before playoff starts.
Because we got to wait till the 21st to the 22nd for the freaking playoffs to start, thanks to Vancouver, dropping the ball.
So we might do one. Probably. Do they play this Saturday?
Yes.
Yes. So they
Yes.
play Saturday. So maybe we'll
Thursday,
do one Saturday night. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do one Saturday night to kind of recap the next 4 games, and then we'll do another one maybe Wednesday or Thursday to just close up the season on the final 2 games and give our playoff predictions, and then that'll be it until the playoffs. And then we'll probably take a break until the playoffs get here, and then we'll get right back to it. So
Unless
until
anything,
then,
unless any
Sounds like a
news
plan.
happens on the Patriots or anything like that.
yeah, I mean, if
Right.
there's any big news, we might come back with an emergency podcast. But until then, we're probably looking at a couple more podcasts until the playoffs. So please come back and stick with us. But until then, have a great night. And this was It's Boston Sports Kehd.
I'm gonna tell you a story.